Welcome to my fellow senior citizens. I made two posts on Facebook last week. The first one was explaining to you that I've started studying again, and I'm studying AI and that I'm enjoying every minute of it. And what I'm thinking of doing is to open a PinnacleAI Seniors Club where I can help club members to use AI in their daily lives and to improve your life. And also, I think, to take the fear out of AI, because I was scared of AI 3 months ago. I was scared. I thought, at my age, I'm 70, and that, and these youngsters, it comes like naturally to them. And I thought about back in 2007. Remember when smartphones came out? I mean, I was afraid of a smartphone. I thought, how will I ever master this? And it wasn't long, I was starting to send emails to my kids, sending photos, buying stuff online. I mean, that was amazing. And now we just use it as daily. We don't even think about it. Now, I'm here to tell you that AI is the new smartphone. In fact, I think AI is even easier than the smartphone. The reason why I say that is that you've got a very intelligent AI assistant that will help you, that will hold your hand, that's very, very patient. No matter how many questions you ask it, it does not matter. But the secret lies in the way you speak to the AI. Now, I will use the word speak, and you might think, yeah, but I don't type anymore, to be honest. I just speak to my computer. I speak on my phone, because I've got software that I will share with you guys in the club of how to use voice to text, and it's very, very accurate. It might get it wrong here and there, but then you can just correct it, and it is brilliant. Now, the way you speak to the AI, that is the secret, and that will change your life, and that is what I intend to show you in the club. Now, before we get there, about a week ago, I've been working for my caravan now for about 2 years. And I thought, okay, I've got a solar system, and I've got this one battery, 100 amp, and it wasn't strong enough to run my office. In my office, I've got a PC, it's an i7. I've got 3 monitors, I've got a PlayStation, and then there's my router, my backup power, my printer, and the 100 amp was just not strong enough to handle it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to upgrade, thereby saving money on electricity, especially these times when, times are not that easy. So I phoned a guy, and he said, oh, no, he specializes in solar. So I said, yeah, come in. He came and he had a look at this, and he says, no problem. I'll install this battery for you, and it will work like a charm. You'll be able to live off this battery for about 2-3 days. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. I said, okay, fine, let's do it. After the installation, he wanted like immediate payment and all that. And I said, no, I want to test this for a couple of days first to make sure that it actually works. He wasn't very happy with me, but anyway, that is the way it's going to happen. And anyway, he left. And then something just told me, you better just check out this installation. So what I did is, I'm a mechanical, not an engineer. I was a draftsman, a mechanical draftsman, but I worked my way up to engineering position, mechanical design engineer. But lately I've just been doing drafting, and then I got interested in AI, and that was where I left drafting behind, and I'm now just fully into AI, and I'm loving every second of it. Also, thank you so much for those that responded on my 2 posts on Facebook. It was overwhelming. I didn't expect I would get such a response, and it's been overwhelming. So I think this club is going to do extremely well, and I'm hoping to give back to society by helping us senior citizens to become more familiar with AI. So what I did, I started right at the beginning, and I took a photograph that you can see here. That is a photograph of my charge controller. And I just took a photograph and I uploaded that to my AI assistant. And it came back to me, and you can see over here, show thinking. It looks like you've got a standard PWM solar charge controller there. Based on the image, your system is securely reading 14.2 volts, which is a very healthy sign for a 12-volt lead acid or AGM battery system. Here's a quick breakdown of what you're seeing and how these devices typically work. And it went already reading the display. It went through. I'm not going to read all this just to save time, but you can read this as well. You can pause the video and read this if you want to. And it showed me all that. And then it says what the terminals do and explained what the terminals do and all that, solar panels and the load. And here's a quick tip. If that voltage says 14.2 volts for many hours after the battery is full, or it climbs much higher than like 15 volts, it might be worth checking the settable voltage settings for a standard sealed lead acid battery. Anyway, and I carried on. They said, would you like me to help you figure out how to navigate the menu buttons to check your specific charge settings? I then said yes. And it came back, since these generic blue controllers usually come with a pretty cryptic manual, here is a secret code for navigating through these buttons. And it told me exactly the main display, PO1, PO2, battery type, and all that. And how to change a setting, and told me how to change the setting, all great. And then one critical safety check, he says, looking at your photo, your wires on the far right, the load terminals, appear to be connected. Warning, never connect an inverter, the box that gives you the wall style AC outlets, to those terminals. It will pull too many amps and fry your controller. Best practice. Okay, gives them the best practice. So do you know what kind of battery you are charging? Lead acid, AGM, or lithium, so we can make sure these voltages are correct. I then went ahead and I took a photograph of the new battery. Here you can see it. That's all I did. Didn't speak to AI, nothing. It just came back. It came back and you could see a show thinking. This is a gel VRLA value regulated lead acid battery, and it's a big one, 200 amp hours. It gives you a lot of storage capacity. Because it is a gel battery, it is more sensitive to high voltage than a standard car battery. Anyway, it carries on and it tells you the settings, the battery type, the positive, the charge, float charge, discharge. And since being in mechanical, I'm not a big electrical, I don't know much about electrics except to change a plug and, get a few wires that I haven't got a problem with, but I'm more mechanical than electrical. Anyway, and it gave me all this, and this is a vital safety observation. In your photo, I see two different batteries. The large blue 200 amp hour and a smaller black 100 power to the left. Now let's just go scroll up to the, see there's the battery there, you can see that. I didn't tell it about that battery, okay? It picked that up on its own. So let's go back. In your photo, it says, are these two batteries connected together? If they are, it is generally a bad idea to mix different sizes. 100 amp hours plus a 200 amp hours, and different ages and brands in the same bank. A stronger battery will constantly try to charge the weaker one, which can cause overheating and shorten the life of both. If they aren't, make sure the charge controllers is only connected to one at a time, or that you have a proper battery selector switch. Okay, and it says, would you like me to explain how to safely wire multiple batteries in your planning on expanding your system? And I said yes. Going back, since you have two different batteries in your photo, the 200 and the 100, wiring them together requires some caution. Mixing batteries are different. That warns me there about the different sizes. Now keep in mind, the installer never mentioned this to me. He said, no, this will work, no problem. Great. And it's generally discouraged because they charge at different rates. Okay, and it carried on the parallel connection, positive to positive, negative to negative, and the small battery with the red battery. You can read this. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time and make this a lengthy video. The diagonal wiring trick I told you about how to connect the positive from the charge controller to the 200 amp hour battery, and then the negative to the 100 amp hour battery. Okay, important warnings. fuse it. Place a fuse around 30 to 50 amp depending on your wires. Matching voltage. Check temperature. Do you have a thick jumper cable and lugs needed to connect these two batteries together yet? All I did, now I took a photograph of the whole system, so I can see that battery, the small existing battery, and now the new battery that we're busy installing. And that's all. I uploaded this and I said, is this correct? Go thinking. I've taken a close look at your photo. I have some very important safety concerns regarding how these are currently wired. Right now, your setup is partially correct in logic, but dangerous in execution. Here's the breakdown. Goes through the parallel connection, diagonal loading, the dangerous action required in brackets, the wire thickness gauge. The white wires you are using to bridge the two batteries are far too thin. They look like standard household extension cord or low voltage wires. Remember, I never told them this. The AI saw this from the photo. The risk, when batteries are connected in parallel, they can swap massive amounts of current, amps, between them. The fix, you need dedicated battery jumper cables, at least 6, I think that's probably amps wire gauge or thicker, with proper lug connectors crimped to the ends. It says if you look closely at the positive red terminal on the big blue battery, I can see stray copper strands sticking out from under the nut. The risk, if loose strands touches the metal casing of a tool or a nearby wire, it creates a short circuit. These batteries have enough power to weld metal or explode if shorted. The fix, use proper ring terminals that enclose all the wiring strands. Mixing batteries, the reality, the 100 amp battery will likely reach full faster than to overcharge, while the 200 is still trying to soak up power. My recommendation, if this were my setup, I would disconnect the smaller black battery entirely and just use a 200 amp hour battery on its own for now. The 200 amp hour alone is likely plenty for most small setups. Your current bridge wires are a fire hazard. It says, are you planning running an inverter to plug a laptop or a TV, or are you just using this for lights and phone charging? I said, no, I'm using this running my PC, which is an i7, 3 monitors and a PlayStation on these 2 batteries. I have to be very direct with you here. Please shut down your PC and PlayStation and disconnect these batteries immediately. You are currently a high-risk situation for a fire. Here's why. It goes into the detail. 12 volt 400 load, 33 amps. These are details I would never have been able to calculate. The thin white bridge wires you are using likely rated for 10 to 15 amps. What is happening? Those wires are acting like a filament in a toaster. They are like getting extremely hot right now. If the situation melts and the wires touch, the batteries will dump thousands of amps instantly, leading to an artificial electrical fire that you cannot put out with water. The maths, and it goes through the maths, the problem, the 400 load, reaching that. How to fix it safely. So it goes, stop mixing the batteries, and it tells us here what to use. You need a 2 gauge amp wire gauge battery cables about the thickness of your thumb. Check out your inverter and all that. And it says summary, check the safety, disconnect the thin wires immediately, inspect the battery terminals and heat damage. So it went through all that, warning me. So what I then did was I thought, okay, let's give the installer the benefit of the doubt. I then changed from Eskom over to the battery, and I ran the PC with the 3 monitors, and the PlayStation was plugged in like I was going to use this now going forward. And anyway, the PC, I switched it on, went through its things, and started booting. And the monitors came on, and I saw how it was going through its setup steps like it normally does. And once it was I would say minute and a half, at the most 2 minutes, and then the whole system just shut down completely. But then I tried to reboot, and then it would shut down immediately. And it was doing that on the 100 amp battery that I had before, and that's why I decided to install the 2 amp, or to upgrade the battery so I have enough power to run the whole system with my solar system. And it just switched off immediately. I was then able to phone the installer and say, "Come, please take your battery, and please, I'm not interested in taking this further." And he then came very upset, and but you know, this is, and I said, "Look, you know, he has the AI to prove you're wrong." And he couldn't argue against the facts that I gave him, and he then took the battery and left. And AI saved what, perhaps my caravan that could have burned down, which is you know, that I could have been in the caravan at the time, and maybe I could have died, you know. So this is a sort of practical stuff I will be sharing with you going forward in the club. And then also taking it further, I'll show you how to write bots where you can reorganize your family photographs. You can use take photographs of your chronic medicine and ask AI what this is for. And yes, so this is what you can expect, and I'm very excited to move ahead now. I'm just waiting for the bureaucracy to sort things out, and once we're up and ready, I will be in communication with you guys to tell you what's the next steps to join the club. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.